We're having our own meeting.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, any changes to the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No presentations, proclamations, or acknowledgements. Now, there's one person here for public comment. This time, go ahead and take the podium.
Can you just make sure the mic's on? Green light on.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and board members. My name is Beth. I live at 344 Brady Street, and I'm here to talk about the current crosswalks we have. Now, I understand you are going to have to work with the county on this, but this past spring and summer, I walked miles through the town here just to get acclimated. We moved here 2 years ago, and trying to cross two was a little challenging at times. You have distractions with the buildings, there's signs. It was hard for people to see us, I felt. One thing that I was gonna suggest is having it be lighted. So when people are there and wanna cross, they can hit the button and, have at least that alert for safety. Another thing is maybe adding a crosswalk at Todd Street and 2. That way it's a straight shot to the park instead of having to go into town. Again, I know you'll have to work with 2 on this, or with the county, but I just wanted to present that to you, and I thank you for your time and possible consideration for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No. All right, annual organizational matters, sir.
All right, so we have a number of actions that we need to take at the first meeting of the year. Give me 1 second to pull up my reference materials. The first thing that we will need to do under our annual organizational matters is the council will need to appoint an acting mayor. As you guys know, the acting mayor basically acts in the stead of the mayor when the mayor's unavailable, so run meetings when the mayor's not there, or if the mayor's unavailable, they would assume the authorities of the mayor for purposes of signatory, declaring emergencies, that type of stuff, or if the mayor becomes incapacitated. For last year, it's been Kate serving in that role for the mayor. So at this point, it would be you guys to identify who that is so we can insert a name into Resolution 2601, appointing an acting mayor for 2026.
Any appointments? Anybody? No?
I thought you two were gonna trade off or something last year.
I was gonna nominate one of these two to my left since they haven't had a turn. Well,
I've had a turn.
You have, but Megan, you have not had a
Still
turn.
new. Are
So,
you interested? Sure.
do we need motions for these, or we're gonna do it all at the end?
This one is a standalone. We have a resolution for this, we have a resolution for the depositories, and then all the other ones, we'll fill in the blanks and you guys will make one motion.
So I would nominate Megan to do it if she wants to do it.
Do you want
There's
to
got to
do
be
it?
an element of wanting to do it.
Yeah.
I think you should do it.
Or no, I mean, you haven't had a turn yet, so
Okay.
we just rotate. I mean, it's not.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Can I second that?
I did. I nominated. I'll make a motion to nominate or to have Megan be the acting mayor.
I will second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the other item that is a standalone is, I guess the depositories are, we'll do that next. So it would be the assignments basically for the year. So going through those, the first one is the Scott County Association for Leadership and Efficiency. So historically what we've done is we've appointed everybody as a representative with the mayor and serving to the executive committee, and the city administrator serving as the alternate for that. Because of the mayor's work schedule, he's had difficulties attending the scale executive meetings, so I've been mostly our presence at those over the last year. So I guess the first question is, are you guys okay? There's no downside to it, to just appointing everybody as a representative, and then we post it that you guys are gonna be participating in the meetings, so it meets open meeting law requirements. And then the second question is, how do you guys wanna handle the scale executive committee?
When are those?
They are the third Thursday of the month at 7:30 a.m. The location alternates based on who the chair is, but currently they're at Prior Lake City Hall.
Sounds like you wanted to do it.
Did you wanna do it?
Well, I just didn't know when the meetings were.
Oh.
It doesn't matter to me.
Do you want?
I'm gonna be quiet for the rest of the meeting.
I should point out, you can, I believe they still provide for virtual participation. I can tell you when I have had to participate virtual. It sounds like a great idea, it just doesn't seem to work quite as well for that standpoint, because you've got big conference rooms and you're trying to figure out who's saying what.
To get in there.
Is that a wave of the hand?
No.
that you want? Oh,
That's what I thought. I was
That's
like,
what
hey.
Just checking my calendar. Looks
I
open
I was
to me.
trying to see if the day I'm supposed to get this thing off my leg was the third Thursday or not.
Does this one interest you, or do we wanna just stay status quo with what we've been doing?
Well, I think we can stay status quo, but do we need an alternate anyway?
So I can tell you based on my experience, up until the mid-teens, I was the regular attendee at the executive committee meetings because of the availability of who was mayor at the time. I can tell you that it's not, there's a difference when an elected official speaks at those meetings, which is all elected officials, as opposed to Tom. Everybody knows Tom. Tom's been around a long time, blah, blah, blah. But it's different when you have a staff person versus having the elected official there participating in the discussions. And rightfully so,
You're recommending having an elected official?
if possible, but there've been many years where it's been me attending when I can. The advantage of having somebody else that can attend making sure somebody can attend on a regular basis is if I don't get split between, hey, there's a really important thing I'm supposed to be there for, and there's something big I should be in the office for as well.
I think she's looking at her calendar.
Just want to figure out what my Thursdays usually look like.
Just so everybody knows, her calendar's blank, so whatever she's thinking about saying.
I have a standing meeting every Thursday morning or every third Thursday.
No, it's Friday morning.
Friday.
Friday
mornings.
Friday
Third?
mornings at 7:30.
Did he say
You
Thursday?
did say Thursday.
Did I say Thursday?
You did.
Fridays are easier.
Friday mornings.
Usually.
Yeah, you did say.
For the exec.
That's my bad.
Okay,
The exec
thanks.
committee
It's
is
like-
Sorry.
Friday?
Yep.
Okay, I'll take it. Good luck with CCEC.
Hey, Beth, you wanna do CCEC? Talk to her about it.
Can't give.
You guys didn't know that's my wife.
I know, that's right. I didn't comment on the Packers.
I did.
Oh.
Anything else on this that we need to-
No, I think we're good. The SJPA, that one typically does not have council participation. Most of the city administrators or their chief, but typically the administrator serves as the representative to the SJPA board, and then their chiefs typically serve as the alternates. So we would be recommending that we continue with that going forward. Any,
Perfect.
Sounds good.
sounds good?
Any additional motions for this?
No, we'll get to the end.
Okay.
Steph is currently writing everything in, and then we'll just take a motion. She'll read back that, and then you guys say so moved, and we're good. The Joint Regional Training Facility Board, same thing. I serve as the primary board member, Craig would serve as the backup, and since we're going to First Center, which is later on the agenda, we're probably looking at 1 to 2 years remaining on that before we're just not on the board anymore. I wouldn't recommend making any changes at this time. I-35 Solutions Alliance, currently Josh and Megan are serving as the representatives to that one. That is the second Thursday of the month, 7:30. Is it in Richfield currently?
Megan's obviously good luck. She finally got us money, so.
Yep, keeping Megan.
Yep.
Fired.
Do nothing. That's all Renee.
I can be the backup.
Good
though.
job,
I can
Renee.
stay as the alternative.
Okay, leave it the same? Okay. Fire Relief Board. So this job has, there's two parts to this, because whoever's serving as the Fire Relief Board usually also serves on the Fire Service Area Work Group, which don't have to, but because of the subject matter, it's usually the same. So the Fire Relief Board, you're basically meeting with the fire on fire relief related items 3 to 4 times a year. We automatically have de facto 2 seats on the board, which are typically held by a council member, and then another staff person has traditionally been me. And we're there not to talk about, hey, the chili fundraiser or whatever. We're there to deal with pension-related items because our taxpayers underwrite the pension fund. Kate has been doing it for 5 years now, maybe?
5, 6 years.
5, 6 years. And the meetings are typically in the evenings, the same time that they're having a fire training meeting, so it doesn't typically conflict with our meetings. The other item, which is typically related, is the Fire Service Area Work Group. So this, again, is also 3 to 4, normally 3 to 4 meetings a month. And the real purpose for that is to meet with the township representatives, and that group serves as an advisory board to you guys to deal with contracts, service level, any fire service related items. This year's a little bit different because the group has decided that we're gonna take a bottom up, tear it down and completely take a look at it. The cost allocation formula for the contract. So it's going to be probably more than 3 or 4 meetings this year. I would anticipate that we'll meet a little bit more frequently depending on how that discussion involves. Our contract is due in 2027, so we have a couple years before that, but there's a lot of work that has to be done over the next couple of years to work through that.
Kate does a really good job at this one.
If nobody else wants to throw their hat in it, I'll keep it.
Sounds good.
Community and Civic Events Committee meets the 3rd Tuesday of the month at 5:30 here at City Hall. Amanda has been serving as the primary with Kate as the backup. We are realistically looking at restructuring. We've had a lot of discussions about restructuring the composition of that group to broaden the participation and engage individuals who are actually engaged a little bit more. So it will be modifying a little bit, but basically that group is responsible for coordinating with other local organizations to host not only the city's civic events, but also other community events that are put on within the community.
Are you saying you don't want to be on it anymore?
It doesn't matter to me.
I can't do Tuesday nights, otherwise I would try.
I mean, we can flip-flop. I'll do it and then you can be backup
Sure.
if you want to do that, because I'm going to be there anyways because of fire rescue days.
Yeah.
Well, and I would suggest that with the backup, it doesn't mean that you both can't be there at the same time when you can.
What is the what does the modification look like?
We don't know yet. We're waiting for the survey results to come back, and they'll be presented to the CCC in February for recommendation to the council. Basically, I think the key elements are it's currently composed of representatives from organizations that sponsor, help put on events in the community, but historically, about half of those don't actively participate in the CCC, so part of the survey is gonna indicate who's interested in still participating, and then I think there's gonna be a discussion about how do we then expand it or engage more people to be involved in it. So I would anticipate that it might have a recomposition and some at-large opportunities, so.
You might know somebody.
So what was the decision on that one?
They're gonna flip-flop.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Kate would be primary and Amanda would be alternate?
If you're okay with that, if you wanna stay.
I mean, if I
private,
wanna show up, I'll show up.
Perfect. I like that.
Dun, dun, dun.
We'll just walk in hand every meeting, they'll be
Everyone
like,
can
oh,
skip.
great, the duo's
I
here.
can't skip to the first meeting, but maybe the one after that.
The next one would be the Minnesota Valley Transit Authority. We do have an ex officio non-voting seat on their board. Our frequency of attendance has fluctuated over the years. When we first got on, we basically went fairly regularly, but a lot of the topic materials didn't have direct impact to us. Our engagement is really that they serve us, further up the line, and as we grow over the long haul, there's the potential that there might be more facilities, et cetera, in our area. The board had ultimately indicated that or the council with regards to attending on the board had indicated that no, whoever's assigned would just basically look at the meeting agendas and determine if there was a relevant item for them to attend.
And remind me, this one's virtual? I thought, no?
It's both.
Is it?
Yeah, they always have a virtual option.
I would suggest the more we go into the future, the importance of this will continue to increase as we grow as a community, et cetera. But
Who's
I
doing it
have-
now?
I am. There hasn't been anything. Yeah. Not related to
So you
us.
saying you just wanna keep it?
Sure. I just glanced at the agenda and there's been nothing, so.
Perfect.
The last item that we need to, would be the Administrative Appeals Board. So this is the appointed board that handles utility bill adjustments and special circumstances that fall outside normal policy and policy criteria. Josh has been doing it for
A while.
5 years,
He's
maybe.
doing a good job.
For a long time. We meet, I would say on average, maybe 4 times a year. Some, depending on how things are going, sometimes 6, but it's not a huge time demand. Steph does a good job of prepping the materials for it and then providing background on the cases that are coming before the appeals board. And the meetings are typically like 20 minutes long when we do have them.
I'd say Josh stays there, cause he's doing a great job at it.
Sure.
Sounds great.
Okay. So at this point, I would ask Steph to read back.
Can I just
The-
ask one clarifying?
Yep.
So for scale, is Amanda taking over for the mayor, or we're just removing them all from backup slots? Hit the mayor, then Amanda as the backup?
Amanda would now be the executive committee attendee
Okay,
with
got it then.
me being the backup.
Got it. All right, so acting mayor, Megan. Then for scale, we now have Amanda.
Well, no, scale would be all of us, executive
Executive.
committee
The
would
executive
be-
part of
Yep.
scale,
Yep.
sorry, is
Yep.
Amanda. Then so Tom and Craig are still doing the SJPA, and the JRTF. Megan and Josh are doing I-35. Kate is doing Fire Relief Board and Fire Service Area Work Group, and CCEC with Amanda as backup. Megan is MVTA, and Josh is the Appeals Board.
And if that sounds good to everybody, just need a so move.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
And we've already taken action on the acting mayor, so
Mhm.
the next item would be official depositories, no, excuse me, official paper. So it's the same thing we get every year. We get proposals from the New Prague Times, and we get proposals from Sun this week for proposals. The Times is a little bit more expensive per column inch than Sun, but Sun charges for if they have to do any reworking of the article, so it offsets that cost a little bit. But the New Prague Times actually covers our community where Sun This Week does not. From a distribution standpoint, they both do by subscription within the community, and they both provide free online access to articles, et cetera. We've historically done it, chosen the New Prague Times for the items that are identified within the staff memo. So we'd be looking for direction from council.
New Prague Times.
Okay, so we need a motion adopting resolution 2602.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, we're actually to the official depositories. We're not proposing any changes. We are proposing to continue to use New Market Bank and the League of Minnesota Cities Forum Fund as our depositories for the city. So we'd be looking for a resolution to adopt 2603.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to consent agenda. Is there anything anybody wants to pull out of it and discuss? No, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as it appears.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No public hearings, nothing under general business. Move into reports.
Okay, under administration, I have one additional item I just want to talk quickly with the council before we go into the draft policy for remote meeting attendance. As Brandon's been working on putting together the agendas for future EDA meetings, it looks like we're lining up most likely to have a industry panel discussion on commercial industrial development at our EDA meeting at the second meeting in February. If that comes together, the panel will likely take longer than the 1 hour that we would have during the work session, and we'd ask for an hour and a half. So the two options would be and we've already posted our start times we'll be posting our start times for the EDA. We're basically asking, would you be guys okay if that happens, for us to come back at the first meeting in February and ask you to move the start time of the council meeting back half an hour? Okay. So that's all I needed on that one. And then the draft policy for remote meeting attendance. I'll share real quick. So the council has previously had discussions about remote attendance for council meetings. And they directed staff to go out and prepare a policy to bring back to council for consideration. So tonight what we're doing is walking through the draft policy for any direction before we bring it back for adoption at a future meeting. So I'm just gonna literally walk through the policy, talk about the background rationale for pieces of the policy. This is very informal. I'm looking for direct questions and feedback at the time that we're going through that portion. At the end, I'll look for overall guidance. So the purpose is to implement Minnesota State Statute 13D.02, which was amended to provide greater ability for council members to attend and participate in council meetings remotely, utilizing interactive technology, so Zoom, which we use for our meetings, hybrid meetings. There's the authority section, which just talks about here's the statute that would allow us to do it. There's a definition section where it talks about, what is interactive technology, how do we define a meeting, how do we define a member for purposes, the definition for later in the policy. I won't spend any time on that, except to the extent that as the policy is written, it would not only apply to the city council, but would also apply to any other boards, commissions that we have as a city. And so first question is, are you guys okay with that? Okay. There are certain, under statute, there are minimum conditions you have to meet. The policy that's proposed exceeds those, but it does talk about, here's the minimums. Under statute, wherever people are located, they have to be able to hear and see one another and all discussion and testimony. So if you're participating remotely, you can't turn off your camera and, go wander off and hit the buffet and then come back. Everybody has to see you and has to be able to hear you. So you have to stay unmiked and you have to leave your camera. You have to leave your camera on. With the exception of legally permitted closed meetings, the public at the regular meeting must be able to hear and see all discussion, testimony, and votes. So if you do that, because we do have the advantage of a setup in our meeting, the audience should be able to see the participating council person on the screen. At least one member must be physically present at the regular meeting location. So let's say there's a horrible snowstorm, but the mayor can make it here in his Jeep, then we could hold a remote meeting as long as there's one council member here. Staff does not count for that. We have to keep in mind, though, that if your technology goes down during the meeting, so you can no longer be seen or heard, you can no longer participate. All votes must be taken by roll call, because when you're on video, it becomes, did they wave their hand, did they wiggle their ear, what was the deal? It's harder to tell, so all votes, the mayor or whoever's running the meeting will just have to know that anytime we take a vote, they'll have to do it by roll call. And then minutes must list each remote participant and the state that the appearance was via the interactive technology. So that just be noted in the minutes. So thresholds. In the policy, it does propose a higher threshold for minimum individuals present. The policy proposes that for remote participation in meetings that there has to be at least a quorum present, so 3 individuals. There's a couple reasons why we do that. Reason number one is, you might say, the optics of it. It'd be less critical that there are people participating remotely because you still had enough people in the room to do business regardless. This simply provides for getting additional input from other council members. The other reason, it's very practical, if let's say we have that snowstorm situation and the mayor's the only person here, but all of a sudden the power goes out or the technology goes down, you can't do business because those other people can't participate in the meeting. So this provides for more of a continuance of operations aspect of that. There's an exception, obviously, on the policy. If you have an emergency, like a pandemic or something like that, this provides for the ability to have just one person here. There is one other aspect to this, is that the council may temporarily lift this restriction if they feel it's appropriate. So for example, let's say the intent was that we were gonna have 3 here. The mayor and acting mayor were gonna be here, but Josh was not available, but Megan and Amanda were gonna be participating remotely, or Josh was gonna be here and you guys are gonna be participating remotely, and all of a sudden Josh can't make the meeting. He's horribly sick. Now we're in a situation where we don't have the 3. You guys could vote basically at the beginning of the meeting to lift that policy restriction for purposes of the meeting given the circumstances. That provides an opportunity that's very transparent why you're lifting the restrictions, and if any council member has any issues with it, it gives them an opportunity to voice their concerns with doing so. Or you can look to reschedule the meeting.
So before we move on to that one, I mean, I think, if you go back to this slide, I mean, I think it kind of defeats the purpose. I would argue. So yes, throw the snowstorm example out then, because if only one person could be here. And then if we're gonna throw in we could temporarily lift it, I think that is too squishy. I mean, it's either we do or we don't, and I think you allow for, maybe it's 2, maybe it's not just one person in here. But I mean, I think 3 is silly, because then it really doesn't do anything to help, and it doesn't incentivize any of the remote participation at all. If we know the quorum's gonna be here, then there's really no point for me to be here if I'm, on vacation or, otherwise. And we're gonna limit the number anyway 2 times per year, so I don't see the value in keeping it, having to be a quorum, because then we just don't need the remote participation at all. So I think it's kind of pointless then.
And that's really up to council. Our understanding could have been incorrect when we were directed, was that the idea was to provide for council members to participate supplementally. So let's say if Kate's visiting family out of state, she would have the option to participate as well. So Statute's one. It's just a question of whether or not you see reasons to go more than one. A lot of that is, you might say, is judgment. But part of it's just, the main reason staff put in there is the practical issue that if the technology goes down, you can't do business anyways if you don't have three.
Yeah, and I just.
But we worked through that in the pandemic.
And
so.
I just don't see the value in going above the floor. I mean, if we're gonna do it, we should, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to abuse it, and it is for those special circumstances, but, I don't know, I don't know what value it adds by requiring a quorum. Except for limiting us further, or at the spur of the moment, there's two people here, and like, now we gotta lift this, we gotta do this, and then that feels kinda shady too. It just feels less planned and less, black and white criteria. I don't know. And if I'm in the minority, I don't care, like, I'll live with it, so. I just think it's kinda pointless.
I think this is just a draft policy, I don't think
Yeah.
we're voting on it or anything.
No, but we are looking for direction, so
I kinda still like the having a quorum here. Just, I mean, we may not abuse it, but we don't know what future councils might. I mean, are you gonna be here in 15 years?
Tom only wishes. I mean, no, I don't know, I just, we were able to function well during the pandemic and during all that stuff, so I mean, I think, I don't know what issues we think are going to happen by lowering that number to one or two or whatever. I don't see the concern. We do many of us do meetings every single day, all remotely. And like, just the concerns just aren't there for me. So that's just where it's just a different perspective.
I would have to say that it's fair that we always had a quorum that was able to participate even when we were fully virtual. And I can tell you, having to try and facilitate those meetings, the technology and ability to do that is better today than it was 5 years ago.
The one thing I would say is if you're going to limit it to 3, you do want to have the wishy-washy language because you don't want to not have a meeting if you've got pressing items that have to be decided at that meeting.
For instance, a land use application that has to be acted on.
Acted on, yep. So either way, you need the wishy-washy language or no limit.
I like the 3 as well. I think the policy should be intentionally somewhat restrictive, so you're not incentivizing remote participation, but you're incentivizing butts and seats.
I'm fine either way. I agree with Josh that it's not gonna be abused by us, but it's good to have that redundant backup.
To the person that does everything remotely.
I do not.
You
I
actually
have
go
to
in the office
into
now?
office
Oh my God.
50% of the time.
50%, all right.
The governor made us do that in June, sir.
Well, that being said, are we happy with the way it's presented? Or do we wanna change it?
I think small town feel, yada yada, I could go on all day, is that we're here at our little, at our U, and that we're having meetings here. And I agree that what we're present right now, aren't going to abuse it, but I do think it's important to have the protections in there that it doesn't get abused in the
And
future.
another perspective is we expect people to be here to talk to us,
Do
not
we?
to remote in.
No, they can though.
Oh.
They absolutely can, can't they?
I don't
They
know.
just don't very often.
Yeah.
But the expectation is that they be here, and I think that should be ours too. So are we gonna change it or are we gonna leave it? That's the question.
I think we're leaving it.
We're leaving it.
Okay. So here's the other item that we really need feedback on is, under statute, you can have one person here and only one person here every single meeting. You just have to have one here. The feedback we got informally from council is that there should be some limit on the number of times that you can do it. To go to Megan's point, that you don't want to incentivize people to just never be here or have an absentee council person, that there should be a certain thing that while it provides the ability, it shouldn't be the norm. That was the intent of it. That doesn't mean that's the way it has to be. just based on Steph's research that she saw and what she'd seen other places, was 6. But keep in mind, that means that you can be absent from slightly more than 50% of the meetings over the course of the year. And for commissions, because they have fewer meetings of the year, it's 3. So basically, if half the meetings, half the number. There is no like data or anything. This is a judgment call as to what is or is not appropriate.
Many years ago, I sat in front of the council and interviewed, and there was a question about the expectation of attendance, and it was a certain percentage. I feel like we could use that as like a starting point. I mean, I feel like 6, half is a lot.
That's too much.
It's too much.
I'd be in favor of 1.
So the guidance based on adopted expectations by the council is 90% attendance. Now, that is like functioning as a council person, so I think that would include whether it's virtual or not, but it's 90%. The threshold's a little lower for commissions at 75% for participation. And again, as a council person, that's just a self-imposed expectation amongst your peers. The final arbiter is the voter, obviously. But that is an expectation the council set on itself in the past for participating, but again, you could participate remotely.
I'd be okay going down to 4.
What if Kate wants to do 8? What are the consequences of any of us blowing this off?
She has to trade with somebody else.
But that doesn't say that.
So I'm going to give you my answer, and then I'm going to go like this and wait for a response from the city attorney. So the statute does not specify and provide any guidance, nor is there any case law by this point to provide any guidance either. So it essentially would be a point of order based on the policy, and it would be up to whoever's presiding to enforce it. If, let's say, Kate is.
Can we send Chief to go drag us in and?
Well, what it would mean is, it's a public meeting, and you can't reasonably restrict attendance at the meeting for a council member any more than you would a member of the public. So let's say Kate, what the policy would mean in application as it's written is if Kate is already Mr. 4 or 6, but she's in Nevada, doesn't mean she can't attend the meeting virtually, but it would mean that she wouldn't be participating in a role as a council person, if that makes sense.
But again, how would we restrict that?
Well, go with 4 and then go extenuating circumstance, case by case.
So it would be, in this case, it would be up to whoever's running the meeting to basically, as a point out, you basically gavel them out or not allow them to vote. Now, from a legal standpoint, you get into a gray area.
Yeah, because then when Kate disagrees the whole meeting and continues to make votes, do we just not write down her votes and count her votes? Like,
You could
Aren't you
do,
glad you're the example?
so,
I was making it not about me here.
so you could do that,
Yeah.
but what would happen in that case if that council member wanted to challenge their participation in the meeting is there's no clarity in the law, so to speak. So I'm gonna defer to the city attorney for her legal opinion.
I know of no case law that says that you can exclude a council member from participating in a meeting. That doesn't mean that it's possible that you could try it and see what happens, but I don't know how that would turn out, so.
Will we know from Nisswa here anytime soon?
Maybe.
How many cities do you watch?
Stupid.
So so in effect, it would be self-policing.
Which in theory, we're all here for a reason, like,
Yeah.
because we want to be here theoretically.
So what would happen is if we actually got to that point, Tom would call the city attorney. The city attorney would give that answer, which means that I don't know that you can. And since our city attorney generally makes conservative recommendations, so we don't get into trouble legally, would say you probably should let them attend. That advice would be given to whoever's running the meeting. So you could call them out, publicly chastise them, that they've been absent more than the amount that they're permitted, and yada, yada, yada. But the recommendation would be that you would allow them to participate. So again, this is a self-regulating policy from that standpoint.
I don't care what the number is, because we can't enforce it, so whatever you guys want.
I'd say change it to 4, that's my opinion. And then case by case after that,
Yeah, I agree with that, 4,
because things happen. I
right.
mean,
You
Well,
may want to
okay,
have the
before.
wishy-washy language for that person who is at home bedridden for
That'd be the case by
health
case.
issues.
Yeah, that would be the case by case.
So we would include similar language that we use on the number. We would include it then for this as well, that the council, if necessary, you know, on a case-by-case basis,
Right.
they can do it, and we would use similar criteria. Okay,
Yes.
right. The rest is procedural, but we should talk about it, that the idea is that if somebody knows they're gonna be absent, they should let the deputy clerk or the city administrator clerk know a couple days before the meeting, so we can make accommodations as necessary. That there would be a technology test. The policy suggests that it be 1 hour before the meeting, and it's a very practical reason. You guys have seen staff, and we're usually running around trying to get stuff ready right before the meeting. We won't have time 5 minutes before the meeting to do the check. Now, will there be, this is a guideline, there will obviously be exceptions to it, but it creates an expectation for, if you're gonna be participating remotely, you have to make accommodations so that we can do the sound check. Doesn't mean after it's done, you can't go do whatever you wanna do, but just leave your machine on after we've checked it out. Quorum participation, just stating that each member participating in the meeting by interactive technology is considered to be present at the meeting for purposes of determining the quorum, and then minutes, just clarifying that the clerk will identify the remote individuals.
But doesn't that conflict with what we said, that you have to have 3 persons here physically to make a quorum? I
Yep.
mean, so
That's in
should,
case there's loss of,
no, I understand, but like, that, it's in addition to the quorum.
The policy earlier is
Yeah.
saying that you're
In
not
in order to
participating.
have a quorum, we
Yeah.
have to have 3 physical people. We
Yep.
can't have a quorum with, you know, any other combination other than, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then the failure technology is just stating common sense that if something happens with the failure technology, it'll be up to whoever's presiding over the meeting to basically make a decision about how long do you spend reestablishing contact or addressing the issue before you just determine they're not absent. And from a practical standpoint, they should say, Megan, we can no longer see or hear her, so at this point, she would be considered to be not present at the meeting. That doesn't meet the criteria. And then there's language that's added to just address specifically the pandemic emergency language. Now, that being said, there was a question that came up when I was talking with council members individually about it, well, let's say the mayor's in Florida, but Kate's here, but the mayor is participating virtually. Would it be better to have Kate preside over the meeting because she's actually in the room with the technology? Checking with the city attorneys, there's nothing to indicate that whoever the most senior person is in the meeting, virtually or otherwise, would run the meeting. If something happens to them, it would automatically default to the next senior person who is still participating in the meeting. So I don't know that that's super critical. We ran meetings just fine when things were fully virtual, when I was in the room by myself. So there is some advantage, obviously, I have in the room, but I don't know that it's critical. So that, other than adding the flexibility language under the number of meetings and reducing it to 4, I did not hear any other direction. Is that fair to say?
Fair.
So our intent would be to, I should say the intent is that Steph will finalize the policy. She'll draft a memo and it'll be on consent agenda at the next meeting. Okay.
All right. Public Works, Corey?
It's been snowing a lot. Not a lot of snow, but I think we had 9 events in December. And again, not a lot of snow, but it's been challenging ones because it snowed all day long, and then stuff gets driven on, and then it gets freezing cold, and then you spend days trying to scrape it off. So hopefully, the next snow we get will be like 4 or 5 inches from 10 to 2, and then we'll just be able to plow it off in the morning and be done. But other than that, we've been working on some trees. And then just wanted to thank you guys for approving us to get somebody else in Q2 of next year. that doesn't go unnoticed by me or my staff. So with that, we are looking to post for that position, and the timeline's gonna be, you know, if we post, say even tomorrow, by the time we get somebody through interviews, backgrounds, we're looking at April anyways. So just kind of giving you guys a heads up there, if we're still on board for that, then that's kind of our plan right now. I think we're gonna have a very busy summer with all the development that we have going on. So it's a little bit slower right now, but we will see a big uptick this spring.
So
Other than that, I have nothing.
So I am looking for some sort of a clearly documented response that you guys are okay with us posting the position. It is authorized in the budget, but historically, we'll come and get approvals. Recently, it seems like we're filling vacancies all the time, but this is an expansion position, so before we post for it, I wanna make sure the council,
Would you like a motion?
if we could get a motion, that would be
I
ideal.
would make a motion to post it as soon as you guys think it's appropriate to post.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Chief?
So staffing's been challenging, as you can see from our December numbers. Our mission suffered a bit, going from 8 officers down to 6. Having one in training that did not complete FTO. 2025 was a challenge. We do have one new officer starting next Martin Luther King Day, actually. So we're excited about that. We have washed out our 2 candidates that we currently have in background process, so we are out hiring again. It's gonna continue to be a problem. Tom and I have been kind of discussing some ideas on what we can do to differentiate us from our competition, because we are either cannibalizing or fighting over the same poor candidate pool currently, so. That's gonna be an ongoing challenge and battle. The detective position is paying off in spades. It has helped out quite a bit with his knowledge that he's already gained and the expertise and the tools. So we look to continue to grow that into 2026. Morale's pretty good considering, like I said, we're down to 6. So kinda happy about that. But big thing will be staffing, adding hopefully a lot of people in 2026 and dealing with that problem, but that'll be a good problem hopefully to have. That's all I got.
Is the posting up?
Yes.
Yep, it's gonna be open until filled, so as we get people who meet the minimum requirements, we're gonna interview as quickly as we can and move as quickly as we can because everyone else is.
So from a practical standpoint, we'll conduct first-round interviews. Typically, we'll have a scheduled second round of interviews for the pool. Currently, Amanda's been serving as primary with Kate as backup. With this, because we're doing until filled, we'll do a first round, and then if they make it past the first round, then we'll be calling you guys on your availability to schedule a second round of interviews. We do have actually an interview scheduled for Tuesday, first round, so.
All right, fire's in their meeting. Engineering, Luke?
Nothing formal. We'll have our report on next meeting, unless anybody has any questions at all.
Under engineering, I should note that we are planning at the January 22nd meeting to recognize Rich Revering for his service to the city for over 20 years, so.
All right, community development?
Well, the news of the week was, that we, were awarded a $7 million grant, so. Got my speaker on. I know Tom sent you an email, so you're all well aware of it, but just for public purposes. The city had applied for 2 MnDOT grants. One, Corridors of Commerce, was for $1.5 million to fund engineering, design, and environmental documents needed for the interchange. The second application was a highway freight program application for $10 million, of which we received a $7 million award. So that was the good news of the day. Second thing I have on my list is, I think you're all aware that the Planning Commission is working on minimum lot size standards and maybe amending some of the standards for single-family detached lots. They have directed staff to move forward with a public hearing on just one zoning district. That's our R2 zoning district, to go from a 70-foot lot to a 65-foot lot, which is kind of what had been approved through PUDs recently anyways. They do have some questions about maybe looking at one other zoning district, but they are looking for some council feedback on that before they go out for hearing on that. So I'll try to have a report in your packet giving a little more background on that in the next packet. But at the January Planning Commission meeting, there'll be a public hearing on the lot size, the one lot size. And then I think final thing I have on my list is that the developer for Parkway Meadows, or I'm sorry, no, Eagle View Meadows. The 80 acres 81 acres that is under annexation, they advise us that they will be submitting their development applications at the end of the month. So if its application is complete, we would prepare for public hearings on the development at the February Planning Commission meeting.
I mean, pass along, I've watched one of the planning commission meetings when they were talking about the lot sizes, and, I mean, the questions, the discussion has been great, so, I mean, I wouldn't have any other feedback for them at this point, so keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion at the last meeting. It was a lot of back and forth, and I thought there just wasn't unanimous on this one, the second piece of it. It was unanimous on one, and before they move forward with anything, they just are seeking your input or some kind of direction.
It hasn't been uncommon over the years when they're working on a, you might say, high-profile item, and they're split, to get some feedback from the council so that they're a little more sure of what they're going to be sending forward is going to be acceptable to the council. They're still doing their job. They'll make you a recommendation on the draft, but they don't want to go to hearing if there's concern about the acceptability at council level, so.
I guess one more item, just to let you know, I know you're aware we're meeting with the DNR continually, especially the mayor, because you were put on notice from the DNR about our shoreline ordinance. We do continue to meet with them. We met with them again today. I think this is going to be probably several months of back and forth. I don't think it's going to be a short process, but Luke participated in the meeting today. They seem flexible, but still need to accomplish the goals of the statute or the rules regarding shoreline. So.
All right. Parks?
Parks meeting is next week. They only have one item on the agenda. It is establishing a policy for lighting on trails and parks. Our past practice has been we don't light trails and parks unless it's a facility within the park like pavilion, ice rink, or something like that. There's been a request more recently to place a light in the park, and the commission's taken the position that we need to have a comprehensive approach how we do it rather than just simply doing it as one-offs. So Brandon will be bringing them a draft policy for their discussion at that meeting, and if it gets a blessing, it'll be coming to you guys at probably then in February.
All right. CCEC?
Is it me?
One more time.
One more time. No, just kidding. Well, I think Tom alluded to the sort of letters that went out to gather interest and input on how we can get more people to show up at the meetings. We have like the core 5 people that always show up to all the meetings, all the events, and do all of that, and they're all great, and they all do a lot of work, but it would be nice to have more, so that'll be at the February CCEC meeting, which I'll probably show up, because I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
Awesome.
All right, other committees, Scale,
Scale is tomorrow morning.
morning.
Yep.
Yep.
Executive Committee.
I did not make the December Service Delivery Committee meeting.
All right, Service Delivery.
Yeah, I didn't make it.
I-35.
Had a meeting this morning, Metro Transit presented, so not a lot that impacted Elko New Market, but we were congratulated for our grant from MnDOT as well, so it's good.
LMC,
That was supposed to come off the
oh,
agenda.
that was supposed to be off there?
Yeah, although in a couple months, we'll be back in that season anyway, so.
Yeah, it'll
Okay,
come right back.
all right. Any discussion by council?
Just curious if there's any follow-up with Lakeville School District after our last meeting, or any reach-outs from them at all, or?
I spoke with the school superintendent at Lakeville. I indicated I relayed the request from the council to research what the process would be to move school boundaries. Informally with me directly prior to our discussion and following our discussion, and publicly in the newspaper article, the superintendent assumed the responsibility for not having communicated better with us on the topic. That would be the extent of the communications.
Anything else? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.